Welcome to the Stay Paid Podcast, where we help agents and entrepreneurs master the latest business trends to unlock growth and create a life of freedom. Brought to you by Reminder Media.
Welcome to Stay Paid. My name is Joshua Stike.
And I'm Luke Acree.
And we have an incredible episode for you guys today. We're going to talk about Google reviews. We're going to talk about email marketing that gets real results for your real estate business, our sales and marketing strategy of the week, and maybe a quick listener Q&A if we have time at the end. So stick around. You won't want to miss that. But first, let me bring on our guest. As always, we're joined by Stephen Acree, the founder of
What's
the
up, guys?
Acree Brothers Realty Team, #1 team.
Yeah, welcome back.
In Lynchburg, Virginia. Missing your sidekick, Cody. Cody's not in today.
Yeah. He's with his wife. He's
Okay.
whipped.
All right.
He's
He's watching the kiddos.
What is this? Choosing family over business? That's crazy.
What is
No.
this? And our guest of honor today is Dustin Fox. Dustin is the co-founder of Devin and Dustin Fox Homes, which holds the distinction of the most reviewed real estate team in the DC metro area with over 1,600 Google reviews and counting. He's also the best-selling author of 6 Weeks to Real Estate Success, where Dustin shares his strategies that led to over $300 million in sales in just 2 years. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. I'm a big fan of the show. We're now at we hit 400 million in our first 3 years as a team. So we kind
Ridiculous.
of have everybody bought in on a collective vision
That's
of
crazy.
Google reviews. We may be the #1 Google reviewed team in the entire country. The only way for you to really know, there's no way other than to Google like realtors near me in every single big city across the country. But just like when you guys vacation somewhere, of course, you're going to hop on Zillow and see like, hey, what are houses going for out here? I do the same thing. And if like I ever decide to expand out here, I just Google realtors near me and see what I would be competing against from a Google review standpoint. But that's the biggest driver of our business.
It's insane.
Nice.
I looked, you had 1,700 is what I was looking at just on my phone just a second ago. How big's the team, Dustin? How big is your team?
43 agents.
43 agents. Awesome. So you guys are crushing it. 400 million in 3 years. That's insane. Can you elaborate a little bit on like how did you get the Google reviews? Like what's the best way to get them? What strategies have you seen?
Well, you have to start off with like there's no way me as a solo agent are going to get 1,700 reviews. So all credit goes to my team. They bought in on like the singular vision from the beginning as a team lead of like our singular focus. And it sounds cliche, like we're going to focus on service. But our singular focus is going to be from the first phone call we have with this person, whether it's a showing, phone call, closing, what have you. Like our mission is to deliver so much value that we know we're going to get a 5-star review in the end because we're going to ask for it. And some agents will say, I don't feel comfortable asking for a 5-star review. And I say, I wouldn't either unless I provided 5-star service.
That's a great line.
And we have everybody bought in. Like a Charlie Munger, the late great Charlie Munger would say, like if there's a problem in your business, it's typically like you're not thinking strong enough, you're not thinking deep enough at incentives. Like how do we incentivize our guests? How do we incentivize our clients? How do we incentivize our agents? So I have everything with us in terms of like the best leads that we give our agents. Everything is all built around who's getting the most reviews and contributing the most to the team. So normally an agent doesn't want to provide their team Google Business Review their review because they're like, I'm not going to contribute my personal reviews in case I ever leave the team. Because if I'm out on my own, if I leave 5 years from now, then I don't have anything to show for my business versus us. Like we're saying, not only if you contribute, but you're going to benefit from contributing because we have a point system with reviews that if you're contributing the most reviews, then you get put on our Google local service ad calls and you get the best chances for listings right now. And rather than like a Zillow or, other websites that require a transaction for a review, Google does not. So you can reach out to everybody in your database and say, hey, I just joined a new team. I'm trying to build some credibility here. Would you mind doing me a favor and leaving me a review that said, Luke is my go-to person for any of my real estate needs, like say something along those lines. And most people, especially your friends, will do that for you. And you could start building your reviews really fast.
That is,
but people don't think deeply enough on it.
How many leads do you get a month on Google? Do you know?
Well, when you're winning, you get more. So before when we were like we went from like 150 solo reviews 3 years ago as like my wife and I, just as solo, like husband and wife, just a couple. We didn't really have a team. And we were behind, it was like 700 or 800 reviews. And I was like, look, we're going to do this and we're going to do this really fast. And like, my goal was like 2 or 3 years to be number one. And back then we were getting probably 1 or 2 Google local service ad leads, whether they were coming from phone call or text, whatever. Now we get about 10 or 11. It's not a lot because they're trying to send out the leads. Like they'll shuffle the standings. So if you answer every call and you book every call and you but if you miss one phone call, they drop you down the rankings. So the more people you have on the calls, the better. Like we use a third-party tool called CallRail, so we can put everybody on the calls at the same time. And we have 5 people on the calls as a reward each month. So they all have these agents have equal opportunity based off of getting reviews and sales, those sort of things.
Is that 10 to 11 leads a month, or just so I understand, is that 10 to 11 leads you're seeing right now a month coming in off of Google?
No. So we get 10 or 11 a week.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
And those are the premium. Like we do pay-per-click. We have a lot of lead sources. But in terms of the premium leads, or as like Glengarry Ross, like give me the good leads. Like those are the leads that everybody wants to call, because the first time the agents are on those phone calls and somebody is like, hey, I need to sell my house, they're like texting me like, hey, this is a scam, right? Yeah. I'm like, no, it's not a scam. Like when people just call you to tell you they wanted to sell their house, like they want to sell their house.
Yeah, I thought you meant 10 to 11 a month. 10 to 11 a week is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's
it's unbelievable.
incredible. Because Google leads they're great leads. they're ready to list, ready to buy.
Yeah, but I would say I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver to my agent. So I say, like, for every 10 or 11 you get, you'll have like 5 of them that are either renters or contractors, like that just are trying to sell their services. Sure. And then the other 5 are buyers and sellers, almost split evenly. So there's about like 2 to 3 sellers that are calling a week. So these agents are like, they're fighting against each other to get reviews. Like, especially towards the end of the year, they want to get on that last quarter, or like spring market when more sellers are calling. You'll see the reviews start driving up fast because the agents will talk in the meetings. They're like, like in front of the whole group, when you hear an agent say, I got on Google calls last week and I got 2 listings in 1 week of phone calls, everybody hears that in a meeting and everybody's getting reviews that week.
What's the most creative way you've seen, your team members ask for reviews or drive results for reviews?
Well, I think the best way that we leverage our reviews are not even the Google reviews themselves. When we do our client events, this is like, I'm always thinking about incentives. So when we do our client events, I never was brave enough to be the guy at the closing table to have my phone out and be like, all right, tell me what you think. Like, what was your experience like? I like cringe when I see that. So like I needed to leverage like video reviews in my business. So when we were doing client events, I'm more of like a marketer, and I'm good in listing presentations and open houses, but I don't like parties. I don't like small talk. I've always been like not the biggest client event guy. And my wife, to her credit, was like, babe, you're going to sell the video reviews and you're going to sell the raffle. I was like, oh, okay, you're right. So like when they come in, I'm there at the check-in table and I'm saying, thank you so much for coming in. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. I give them a single raffle ticket. And I said, this is just for coming in. And oh, by the way, if you see our videographer over there, if you do a video review for your agent, you're going to get 3 additional raffle tickets. And when they see the raffle prizes, like PS5, like an iPad, like crazy raffle tickets, the kids that are there at the pumpkin patch will like make their parents do a video review, even if they're camera shy. Genius. So like they do that. And then like our kind of claim to fame is the YouTube TV advertising. So like out of all the YouTube videos that I've split tested, the top 2 ranking ones are our client event video and the video testimonials from our clients. Those outperform anything else that we're running. So leveraging those with somebody else talking about us versus us talking about ourselves, it always does a lot better.
What's the client event video? Is that them talking about you at the client event, or what is that video?
It's basically like a really well edited, like, I like to say like a HDTV style listing video. We have an HDTV style client video. It's like edited and cut where it's like it's taking all the reviews that everybody said, but splicing them and like almost like it's like a video full of superlatives and everybody having fun and kids going down the slide and people taking photos with their family. It's just like fun. And then we leverage those, and every agent uses them in their own territory, in their own market, with the YouTube TV advertising that I've taught them. So we're just trying to get in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah, it's genius. How big is your database of like clients and what you would call maybe relationships? How big is that database?
Well, non-relationship, it's the CRM is like 82,000 right now. And I don't know exactly what it is just client wise.
Okay.
I know I have probably, I'm spending like I think 13,000, 14,000 a year just on Client Giant alone, like on my clients.
Yeah.
And then the agents are obviously encouraged to do their own also. So like we have things, I'm not going to be the guy dropping off a pumpkin pie. I'm not going to be dropping off a Popeye, and there's nothing wrong with that sweat equity. I'm just at a different point in my business where I'd rather spend $100 a year, and like same with what you guys are doing with Reminder Media, like magazines, postcards, these things. Like you need to automate things because everybody has the intention to do the pop buys until their business ramps up, and it's the first thing that falls off. They like aren't staying in touch with their people.
Yeah, it's so spot on. It's been really interesting kind of seeing over the years like the evolution in the real estate industry, and I feel like client events has come back in spades recently. I don't know if that's because of the pent-up demand ultimately from COVID and people not being around each other. I'm curious, like when you look at like your 43 agents, right, and all teams tend to have like producers, non-producers on the team. What's the separator that you're finding from out of your 43, the ones that are actually killing it? What's the things that you believe they're doing in their day-to-day? Because that kind of leads us into this like 6 weeks to success in real estate. Like, why'd you write the book? Like, what are the success principles?
I mean, I think everybody's business is different. I think in terms of how they're going about, we have agents that are very successful, like 10 to $15 million a year producers that are completely sphere of influence. And they're like, Dustin, I'm never going to call a lead. They are using social media the way that it's intended for actual connection. I don't like that at all. It's just not who I am. I'm not going to go like 10 things and comment on 10 things or DM 10 things. I know what you're supposed to do. I just listened to the podcast this week that you guys put out. I get that that's what you're supposed to do, but I'm like, I would rather just spend a little bit of money and put stuff out. For the agents that are doing the best, the one common trait with all of them is I would say time blocking and making a commitment and no excuses. They're not in the meeting saying, oh, I made my calls, I just didn't log them. Like all of those things are just excuses. Like they're either doing the work or they're not doing the work. And we have visibility with Sisu and our Seer Interactive CRM. Like we can see what people are doing. There's no hiding anything. And look, if leads aren't for you and that's not what's best for your business, then you still have a place on the team, but you just can't be on leads because we're not going to be flushing these down the toilet.
I love that, dude. I love it. It's so similar to our business over here. That's what's so cool. I'm curious if we could just go back real quick to the videos that you did, the reviews, client reviews. Where do you post those? So where are they all going? So you said YouTube, right? Are they going to like Facebook ads and stuff like that? Or where?
No, we use them for everything. I mean, look, we don't do like we have somebody running our team social media page, but it's not getting as much traction as like my individual or the agent's individuals. But it's posted and they're invited as collaborators to each agent's video review. So that's put on their social. That's the least effective thing, in my opinion. Sure. including that whatever, with our weekly email, when we have our weekly email and whatever our first thing is, we try to embed a video testimonial, and the agents, because we have the Constant Contact parent account, when we drop the weekly email into theirs, they're going to move their listing video, their listing, they're going to slide it to the top, but they're going to put their review there. And that's what's most effective. Second most effective is using it in like the YouTube advertising. And I could kind of go on forever about this because it's something that I'm super passionate about. I ran our first direct response commercial last March. And the idea was I'm sitting on the couch with my 15-year-old daughter, and she's on her phone, not looking up. And you're in my market or close to it. You probably heard the commercial like 877-241 Luna. So that commercial comes on, and she doesn't even look up from her phone. She sings it. And next, like HVAC company commercial, she sings it. But one thing I noticed in all these commercials was like the phone number superimposed, like a chyron with a phone number, a website. And I'm like, why aren't agents running direct response commercials to their market the way all these other businesses are? So I said, the beauty of YouTube is I can say specific, like I live in Centerville, so I'm going to test it where I live. And I made a direct response commercial. And it's in my book, 6 Weeks to Real Estate Success. And it tells you exactly step-by-step how to do it. But it's basically tells them our unique selling proposition. And I ran that for about 6 months. I filmed this commercial, and it was targeted only to Centerville homeowners, and YouTube will allow you to do this. Right. So I'm speaking directly to people that want to sell their house. I ran that for 6 months, got one listing. It wasn't quite as effective as I wanted it to. And then I hired a videographer to promote my book. I wanted to make some video content for my book. And I said, you know what, why don't we take out of these 8 videos I'm paying for a month, why don't I take 2 more and add a little bit of additional content? So it was like Centerville homeowners, here's your market update in 60 seconds. And then it was another Centerville content piece and another one. So then it was starting to be more Gary V, jab, jab, right hook. And then I added my old testimonial videos that I had from the previous client event. And then it was like, boom, my daughter, I knew it was working because my daughter kept getting snaps saying like, slay, like queen. Like it was never anything about me. It was always about my wife, Devin.
That's great.
And we would go to stores, or the servers would bring us a dessert at Sweetwater and say, we love your videos, by the way. And then people started calling us. Hey, I interviewed Open Door, but I didn't like what they said. We want you to sell our house. So then I said, okay, the whole team's doing this. And then when I pushed it onto the team, I said, this is what we're going to do. And I didn't have the foresight that this is what was going to be the hidden benefit of it. But I said, you're going to own this territory. You're going to be the local expert in this suburb city. So let's say South Riding or Reston or Arlington. And as long as you're running ads that you're paying for, then nobody else is going to be competing against you in that market. It doesn't mean that if I have a Reston listing, I can't sell in Reston. It just means I'm not going to be running ads there. And what that did, and the hidden benefit was, all of the agents, and we built a video studio and office, and all of the agents started sharing their Google ad reports of what was getting the highest click-through rate, what was the highest percent views to 100%. Like everybody was sharing the scripts that were working and just changing the teleprompter for their city. And then it just started kind of snowballing. And then people are just coming to us saying like, hey, I want to join your guys' team because I'm getting these commercials. And I'm like, well, you can't do it because like we already have somebody in that city. And they're like, I'll do it in a city I don't live in. I'm like, it doesn't really work. We like to say, we'll make you micro famous in 3 months, but it helps to be living in that city. Because when you're out at a restaurant or out and about, you'll know it's working. But we get videos, we get texts every single week of somebody, their kids standing in front of the TV, or just a photo of a big screen TV that they're like, people, I don't know if you can curse on this. People will lose their effing minds when they see you on TV. I don't know why. Like they'll see your ad on social media, but on social media, it just looks like a post to them. Yes. So nobody's screenshotting that and sending it to you. But when you show up on an 80-inch 4K screen, they think you're a celebrity.
What's the cost of that? Like, I'm curious what the spend of that would be, and especially if you're doing it, for all your agents, that's pretty impressive.
So we tell them, and we're only paying for it for ourselves.
Right.
So it's like the agents that are doing business are the ones that are doing it, but we now have 15 agents that have locked down on our team of the 44 that have their own commercial and are running these things. We've told them, because we've seen it, the agents that are running it for $500 a month, they're not getting anything. One of them got one rental over 8 months with the $500 ad spend. For whatever reason, the $1,000 a month mark seems to be the one that gets the phone ringing for sellers. And it does, just like postcards or anything else, it does take about 6 to 12 weeks. You're going to get noticed earlier, but you'll typically get your first phone call in like 6 to 12 weeks. And they will just call you and tell you, I see your commercials all the time. I need to sell my house. And they're not competitive. I haven't had one yet where they were interviewing anybody else versus Google local service ads. They're almost always calling multiple agents.
That's what we've noticed as well with the reviews and the Google ads, is like they are always like interviewing 3 agents. So you have to be really, really good. And that's the problem with giving them out to anybody on your team. They're incredible leads, but you also have to be an incredible agent to win them, which is tough.
Yeah. It's even worse now because they just announced that they're actually worse than I don't know if it's still this way, but Realtor.com leads always went to like 3 agents. And now like they're saying kind of like a Yelp, whenever you ask for like an electrician from Yelp, it's like, do you want this to go to like more people? You get more quotes at once, and you're always going to say yes.
Yeah.
But now the Google local service ad says, do you want this to go? If you fill out the request, it says, do you want this to go to 10 other agents? So it's going to 10 other people, and it's going to be even more competitive now.
Sure.
I didn't realize that. It was funny. We were at the Tom Ferry event. I forget which one it was, if it was a local one like an Edge, or if it was the actual elite retreat that I met you at, Dustin. But I talked to the Realtor.com rep, and he self-admitted, he goes, oh yeah, Zillow's leads are way better than ours, but we're just more cost-effective than Zillow's leads, because so if you want a volume of leads, then you use Realtor.com. If you want the quality, you go with Zillow, because they're just better. And I thought that was so funny.
It's so true, though.
It is true. Yeah, I've seen it play out. There's something to be said. I don't want the audience to miss that. What you just said about the $500 spend to $1,000 spend and that data point, I've seen that. I have no data on it, but I have seen that to be true too in marketing that we've been in for years and years. It's some reason, and you hear this about Zillow, which is why I mentioned Zillow, that people who spend on Zillow, if they try to just spend the lower amount, they don't get any success. But the agents who are spending massive amounts on Zillow are the ones who are actually getting results. So there's something to the dynamic of the amount you spend because of the repetition of how much they're seeing you from the ad display. But it's like, I don't want people to miss that, because most agents listening to this will try to spend as little as possible on marketing.
So just to get a little technical and to kind of go deeper on what you just said, whether it's $500 or $750, like we went from 500, these agents went from 500, 750 to 1,000, and then $1,000 started getting the phone calls. But you guys will hear like Jason Pantana and people preaching YouTube advertising and skippable in-stream ads. But what nobody's really talking about is the target frequency ads that Google offers in the YouTube category. So what you can say is a skippable in-stream, like my population in Centerville is about 79,000 people. So if you spend $200, you're going to get on a skippable in-stream, you're going to get about 12,000 views. But what it's going to do is going to say anybody that's on YouTube, they're just going to show it whenever they're on there, and whatever, they're going to divide your budget over the length of time. But you may get in front of the person that is on YouTube once a month, and you don't want to get in front of that person. You need, to your point, repeat exposures. So the target frequency says it allows you to choose 2, 3, or the max 4 times. And we always choose the 4 times a week. And it'll allow you to say, we're going to allow you, Google, to find the Centerville homeowners that are the power YouTube users and that are going to be on there 4 times at least a week. And we're going to show it to them, force them to see it 4 times. But what it'll do is it'll take your total views, it'll cut them in half from what you were spending on a skippable in-stream, but it's going to double the clicks to your website. Completely double it, because the whole rule of 7 is it takes somebody 7 times to see your stuff, whether it's a postcard, whether it's anything. Like before they start thinking and remembering you, like you could have a listing video. You hired the best videographer ever, and you have coming soon. And, you know, depending upon where you're listening at, it's how much coming soon you have in your market, if any. But if you can get that video out at least like 2 weeks before the listing goes live, and with a target frequency ad, you can force everybody to see it 8 times.
And what oh, go ahead.
And then the big miss that I feel like such an idiot that I didn't realize until like 2 months ago was like, if you leave all devices on Google Ads, it's going to still put them in front of 65% of the TV viewers. But when you're watching TV, you're either going to finish the commercial or you're going to hit skip. You're not going to click to the website while you're watching TV. And I don't know why until an agent on my team told me, why don't we have a QR code on the video ads? And I'm like, yeah, I have no idea why I didn't think of that. So we put it in, and it was like, boom, like even more calls.
Yeah, dang, dude, that is so good. Wow.
Yeah. How many closings are you getting from that ad or from?
I mean, I've only been running it. I've been running it for about 14 months now, and I'm only at like about 7 or 8 like pending and closed.
That's so awesome.
But that's only at a $14,000 ad spend. Yep. So and still very early on in the process. And we have agents that have been running it for less time than me that have on our team that have more business, and they're in a higher price point. Like, and where I live in Centerville, it's like my wife and I and a bunch of Korean barbecue restaurants. That's it. Like, that's all we have in Centerville. So like our demographic doesn't necessarily always want to use us, you know? So, but agents are running them in higher price point markets.
Yeah.
Dude, you are a beast.
Do you get any feedback on them going back to your reviews? Because that's one thing I've noticed about some of the leads coming in is like with more Google reviews, even if they don't come from Google, we'll hear them say that they looked us up on the Google reviews. Do you find that for these leads too coming through?
Yeah, they do. I mean, they've definitely Googled us, but most of them, and it's funny you mentioned that, whenever anybody calls us, whether it's a Google local service ad or just me getting a direct phone call, the agents are instructed to always say, like, you know how the Google local service ads, it says press 1, call from Google. Like, you know it's from Google, but we always play dumb. From like a Cialdini like commitment and consistency principle, we make them say it. We're like, oh, so how'd you hear about us? And then they say, oh, you guys have the best reviews. It's outstanding. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Worked so hard on it. But like, but when they say that, they want to live up to what they just said about you, you know? So it's all, and they say it when they call about the video. They're like, are you going to do a video like that for my house?
So I want to point out just 2 things that don't want people to miss. One is he said $14,000, and I think, what'd you say, 14 months? And you said it's just beginning. It's not even long enough to test. And I go, oh my gosh, dude, you are such a beast, because that mindset is so missing from the real estate industry. But that is every real business's mindset. Like when Reminder Media does something as a business, when freaking Walmart does something as a business, they don't look at it in terms of 1 month or 2 months, which most agents do. So I just think that's incredible. Number 2 is that concept of showing the frequency to the YouTube power users is so powerful, because think about it psychologically. Who trusts YouTube ads or is more likely to call upon a YouTube ad or an Instagram ad or a TikTok ad? The power users, because they are naturally on the platform. And if you use Instagram all the time, you'll buy something on Instagram. And after you buy something on Instagram, you're so much more likely to repeat that. So that strategy is such a golden nugget, because you are in essence honing into more qualified buyers, i.e. I'm willing to respond to a YouTube ad because I'm on it all the time and I've done it before. It's just gold, man. I mean, you are a
there's
beast.
A few downsides, because my wife will say, like, if she's running an errand in Fairfax, she'll just throw on some sweats. But if she's in Centerville, she like has to do her hair and makeup because like somebody will recognize her and somebody will say something to her. And I'm not even like, there's no hyperbole. Like, it happens every time we go anywhere.
Dude, you got to do the Johnny Depp. Did you hear what he did during the trials and everything like that? He got a professional. He got a professional face mask. Yeah, he really did.
Like Kanye?
He got, like the makeup that they wear in movies or face masks that they wear in movies. He got a professional one done. I think it was an old man or something like that.
Yeah, it was. It was an old man. I saw it.
It was an old man, and he used to wear that around so people wouldn't recognize him.
I want to make sure that we get to our headline. We normally do a headline of the week. This one actually was written by you,
some
Dustin.
psychopath. Oh, sorry, it was Dustin. Yeah, Dustin.
But it goes back to what you were talking about with your emails. And you wrote an article on BAM about how email marketing landed me 9 listings in 6 months, and you pointed out like 4 different types of emails. So kind of walk through your journey, because I know you have a pretty big database, and so you just kind of recently figured, I can leverage this for actual.
Well, we were given Happy Grasshopper from the brokerage, and we were the worst. We didn't use it the way we were supposed to use it. Like, I think I like the second week I had it, like I didn't edit the template, and it went out, and it was like the subject line was like 5 greasy spoons you can't live without or something. And then like my buddies were texting me like, greasy spoon, huh, Fox? And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, I had to like, I just didn't do anything with it. I kept thinking to myself, like, Seth Godin and Permission Marketing, like, I don't want to spam these people. They came in from a real estate lead. I don't want to start sending them my emails. And it was really like a limiting belief, because I'm like, I honestly didn't believe in the content that I was producing. And we tried hiring Outbound Engine, or I don't remember the name of the company, and to write it for us. And that was canned and not local. And none of it was really working. And an agent on our team, Faith, had said like, hey, I just heard a Tom Ferry podcast with Pantana, and this guy's sending out like 3 emails a week. And I was like, hell no. Like, I'm having a hard time, like, just getting 1 out a month. But I work better when people are counting on me. So if I make a promise to my team that we're going to put this into we're going to hold the Constant Contact parent account, and I'm going to drop it in there, and then you guys are going to send it. I had to live up to that. So I said, let's just try it out. Like, I'm going to go from once a month to once a week. And as the article states, like, our unsubscribe rate stayed exactly the same. Like, they're going to unsubscribe. Wow. And it probably would do the same if I did 3 times a week. I
would believe that.
But I was able to leverage ChatGPT very early. I mean, I think I learned about it like literally the first week of December, like a week after it came out. And my book goes heavy into the SEO component of ChatGPT. But we're really blessed. We have a piece of software that we use in our local market. It's not available in the whole country, called Smart Charts, and it gives you like really good data. And you could take those data charts, put them in the ChatGPT, and say, I want you to make me a bar graph in my brand's hex color. You give it your hex color, it's going to make you a bar graph. Then you can write a blog off of it. And just like when you're reading a blog and you're Googling like chicken Parmesan recipe, and you're scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling, and you're like, where the hell is the recipe at? Like, how far do I have to go? That's just people gaming the system. It's like the longer the article, the more keywords that are in there, everything's tagged correctly. So we started making our blog articles really long, and we do little snippets in our email. And the market update is one that we do once a month. Then we do Homes of Distinction, and that's always the highest clicked one. So we're lucky we're in an office of 1,000 agents. So I could just go onto the Facebook forum of our brokerage and say, what's the most beautiful house you guys have seen this week? And they'll do the work for me. They'll just send me listings.
Wow.
Because people like the mansion porn. So they just see that stuff. And then I do Restaurant of the Week. And it's just it was really selfish. My wife was on my case about working too much and not taking dates. So she was like, you don't really Instagram food. Why are you taking so many photos? And I was like, then I got a gift card. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, was this all a marketing ploy?
I love you, dude.
Smart man.
So
paid for the dinner.
So I we went to a restaurant, and then we're raffling off like a $250 gift card. And the email, like Google and Gmail loves, the only thing they love more than not spamming, not hitting the spam button or opening or clicking, is a reply to your email. So when you're saying like reply back with your favorite restaurant of like what, your choice for a chance to win. And then we always give that out the next week in the email. So
who does all that for you? Did you do it yourself? Like, are you the marketer, or do you have someone hired to do it?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you that I was a better delegator than I am, but my wife and I do way too much. So my wife does the email, and it's about a 4 to 6 hour.
Wow.
And the mentality that you have to have is like, if somebody calls you tomorrow to say, I want to list my home, you're going to drop everything and you're going to prepare for that listing presentation. But you have a database of thousands of people, but you won't spend 4 or 6 hours to like communicate with all of them at once. And you have to kind of put that type of
way
thought.
to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to put that type of thought and care into it. And, you try different things. We've tried some of, set your price, or, name your price, and all of these other things. I think the problem is we are in like a very small incestuous market, is like everybody's doing the same thing, and running the same type of email because everybody's in the same coaching ecosystem, and it loses its effectiveness. If you ever gotten a Veterans Day email from a lender and it's 5 of them all doing the same one,
That's what agents are doing to their clients. Yeah.
I won't send one. I refuse to send one on a holiday for that reason. I never send anything because I don't want anybody to get bombarded with our crap. Like they know every single Friday, 10:15, they're going to get an email from us. My agents are going to get that email, and we're going to drop it into their inbox late Thursday night. My wife works on it all day Thursday, and then she gives it to me, and I'm putting my advertising marketer's hat. And, I always change the subject lines. Like a great ChatGPT prompt is like, give me 10 BuzzFeed worthy email subject lines for this article. You always want it like BuzzFeed worthy.
Yeah.
Like how like listicles are great, any of those things, but I'm always looking to spice it up a little bit and get people to click on it.
Yeah. The restaurant of the week is
Well, there's a
genius.
fourth one, right? The sneak peek. You're sending out homes before they get listed. Is that
Yeah. So again, that's also if you're in an office that has office exclusives, and that is also a great. Just if you have dead leads and you have office exclusives in your office, like we always have like 10 to 20 office exclusives. So like just going in there, we just compile that list. We always highlight a few of them and then say, email us back for the full list. Because, everybody likes exclusive things and everybody likes secret listings. Like we're telling them up front, like I'm honest, my team, I don't do office exclusive because we're still in a seller's market. Why would every time I put a listing up, like only one of my 10 showings is a Pearson Smith realty agent, our brokerage. So why would I limit my sellers to that? And agents will say, well, my client doesn't want to deal with the showings. I'm like, every seller says they don't want to do anything. It's your job to tell them what's in their best interest. So
we just raise the price on them, and we tell the client that. So we'll put it up 10,000 higher than what we're going to list it at. And we'll say, hey, you have an opportunity to get in this with no competition if you want to, right? And then the seller wins on the 10,000 higher. That's one way we've handled that. But do you have that for the brokerage? Is the brokerage doing exclusives?
Yeah, they're using I think Jared James is involved with the First Up app. Oh. It's like FYRST. And honestly, we had like a forum where people were a separate office exclusive forum where people were posting, and it wasn't really like it wasn't organized well. And then once we started using this app, I can go on the app at any time and see everything that's available. So I tell my agents, anytime you're about to click on a lead and look at what they're shopping for, their e-alert, and see what they're looking at, and say like the whole Phil Jones thing, hey, I'm not sure if this is for you, but I got this one that's not in the MLS. Yeah. Like you start communicating that with people regularly, they're going to.
Yeah, I was just on that panel like 2 weeks ago, and it was funny to see Jill in our area. She's crushing it right now. She's the #1 realtor. She got a developer, but she was doing the same exact thing that we're doing with those exclusives and you're doing, Dustin. It's like, I think that is probably the #1 thing for brokerages right now is just getting off the market deals, because it shows that like you're doing work in the background. You've got something that's better than every single other brokerage that's out there. It just drives a lot home. And that's what buyers are struggling with right now is inventory. So it's like
100%. And it's the best converting open house script.
Yeah,
like if you give somebody your card and say, hey, whether they sign in or not, hey, because I'm having casual conversation. I'm like, you guys live in the neighborhood or you guys just out shopping? And then later on, I'm like, so have you guys put any offers in Lost yet? I always say it like that, like Lost yet? It's a pretty tough market. And they're like, yeah, we've lost one. I was like, the trick is you got to get like some of these exclusive listings that aren't publicly available, that you're not having to waive sometimes every contingency. I was like, take my card. I know that you're here now. We have a couple that are exclusive. Text me later and I'll text you back. I just want to see them take action. I'm still going to message them even if they don't. But if they message me, I know I got them.
Yeah.
This guy's a freaking Yoda. It's kind of like our Facebook ads, exclusive list of homes.
Yeah, the exclusive list of homes. There you go. Yeah. All right, Luke, let's get to the marketing and sales strategy
lights, music, action
of the week.
Yeah, you actually got to turn the music up on the actual podcast because it wasn't very loud when I listened to it.
That's because the first time it happened.
It was so loud in our ears, but it's actually not loud on the actual podcast. So we got to turn it up a little bit. All right, sales strategy of the week. I just went and spoke at a conference in Georgia. It was an insurance conference, a bunch of Medicare insurance agents, but we were talking about partnerships. And this is massive in the insurance agent industry. And I know we have insurance agents that listen to this, but it's also, I think, an untapped potential in real estate because it takes relationship building. But I would challenge every single person to sit down today, if you haven't already, and look at the 5 to 6 businesses that are synergistic to you, target the same audience, help you get a deal across the finish line ultimately, or service a client, and ask yourself, how much co-branded marketing are you doing together? And if you have no co-branded marketing happening with those synergistic partners, you're missing out on 2 massive opportunities. One is you're missing out on reaching more people for less money because they can help chip in and pay. And number 2 is you're missing out on the potential to build reciprocity with those people to feed you referrals. Because everybody is asking their lender to send them referrals, or asking, their insurance agent or whoever, right? Whatever business you're in. But we all know, and maybe Dustin and Steven, you can attest to this, it's like the people who send you referrals are the people that you give things to. Meaning, like, right. You're like, the reason why your lender, what's his name, TJ or whoever you use, Steven, is like feeding you stuff or doing stuff.
That was like 5 years ago.
Okay, that's 5 years. Right, sorry, yeah. TJ, rest in peace, brother. But whoever you're using today, they send you business because you give them a lot of money. You give them a lot of business, so they're feeding it back. So my challenge to everybody as marketing strategy of the week is sit down and at least, do you know who your 5 synergistic partners are? And have you asked them at all to tap into co-brand together, whether through a client event, a postcard, an email, I mean, heck, a live Instagram video, and go live with them on Instagram. But that's the strategy of the week. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to hear what you think, Dustin. Like, and also, like, so I talked to a bunch of big teams, and a lot of times, most of their P&L is driven by these partnerships. These like mortgage companies, insurance, and so forth. Are you doing partnerships there? And like, what does that look like for you guys?
When you say partnership, do you mean like joint venture, or do you mean like just a marketing partnership? Just so clarify.
Okay, really what I'm thinking of.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, we have MSAs with our lenders, and our title company definitely contributes as well. But I think we could get a lot better at like co-branding things. We're pretty good about, like, our agent just got some business from a restaurant last week. Like, we're already doing these videos, and I'm like, hey, if you're going to be the mayor of your town type agent when we're doing these videos, like, now they're wanting to do restaurants, and they're running YouTube ads for the restaurant. They're saying, hey, we're going to send you this, and we're going to invite you as a collaborator, but we're also going to get you 10 to 20,000 views of homeowners that live in this city. And they are so grateful that they're then referring their patrons to us. So it's not just the traditional co-branding that you would think with like a lender, insurance, movers, like all of these companies. Like, if you're providing people visibility, they're going to want to help you out from a reciprocity standpoint.
1,000%. Love it. We see it the most popular with our magazine is that people featuring, like, if you're, like, the way I look at it is, like, if you're a real estate agent, who is the financial advisor? Or I'll give you a perfect example. Brian Quigley, my real estate agent here in PA, he actually specializes in seniors. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what that means of why Brian, and he's my real estate agent, but he specializes
I've always
in
wondered
seniors.
that.
Yeah, exactly. But I really like him,
You're an
right?
old
And we have a
soul.
relationship and all that good stuff. But he basically, his business is built off of, he has partnered with these assistant living communities, elder care attorneys, and then he's built this network called Paths, which is a professional organization for seniors. And he gets these I didn't realize this, assistant living communities, this is something you guys could look into. They know who the seniors who are going to sell their homes to get into the community are before most people do. And Brian just did a seminar at the assistant living community. He had 70 people in the room. He didn't do any of the advertising. The assistant living community invited people out. They sent the postcards out to invite people. They had 70 people in the room to come learn. And Brian presented on how to prepare to sell your home and get your home sold in order to move into this assistant living community. And think about this, 15,000 people are turning 65 a day. There's a huge market opportunity out there for people, and we could go off on that on senior living and what are these seniors doing in downsizing. I don't want to, you got to be in your niche, but that's a partnership that where Brian literally, he's crushing it right now. And he said that he's Keller Williams here in Bluebell. And he said Keller Williams Bluebell's down hundreds of millions in volume, but he's doing well. But it's because his business is built off of this one little niche that he has done through partnership, which is pretty crazy.
Awesome stuff.
Steven, you didn't want to get reciprocity in Pennsylvania and help your brother out?
Yeah, come on, dude. Steve,
that person first.
Steve did get a referral. Steve did get a referral fee.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I made Brian give him a bone. I was like, this guy, he needs a bone, bro. No.
Yeah, that was early on. It was
I
nice.
love the senior idea though. My wife calls me the senior whisperer. Like I'm like a curmudgeon-y old man in a 45-year-old's body. I'm like, I just read books and complain about things. So like I get along really well. Like every senior,
I'm telling you, man.
They don't want to do anything to fix their house. So I'm like, you got to get on their level.
You should look into it because Brian is crushing it with that, and I've heard of other agents doing it. And it is I just look at the market where it's going. We all know that senior dynamic. There's not enough housing for them. This is a huge issue that is actually facing the nation. Actually, when you look at it numbers wise, of the amount of seniors versus the amount of support that's going to be there for them. And so, from the real estate perspective, how do they sell their home and downsize? What community do they go into? How do you partner with the assistant living locator person in the area, the assistant living community? But that's a whole nother podcast. So
yeah, 100%. All right, I think we got time for listener Q&A because it's a fast one. This comes from Farhan. Farhan wants to know, hey guys, thanks for tips. Thanks for the tips. What CRM do you guys use? CRM. Steven, what CRM do you use for your business?
Yeah, we use Follow Up Boss, and that's been the best one we've used so far.
Dustin?
Sierra Interactive, just from a pure SEO, like I can show you can see the charts from my book in terms of the amount of organic traffic we have. Who the hell knows? All this investment, time and money I've spent in the SEO, if it's going to work long term, because I see this Apple Intelligence and I'm like, are people going to Google anything anymore? They're just going to talk to Siri and ask it everything.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is wild. Yeah. I think the same thing. It's like, are we even going to be in business in 5 years, Jason? We're all going to be working for robots.
Our CRM was custom made.
We do. We have a custom made one that I don't know how I feel about that, but 17 years in, you're not going to change it. You know what I mean?
Change it now, yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Steven, thank you as always. It was a pleasure having you. Dustin, thank you for joining. Before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you, follow you, get your book, all that good stuff.
So on Amazon, you can go, it's just 6 weeks to real estate success. But the audience, if you're still listening now, I implore you, if you send me a screenshot of the book and you leave the Stay Paid podcast a review on whatever channel you're listening to, just send me a DM at Dustin M. Fox. I will send you my top 100 Facebook and Instagram headlines of all time. I split tested these down over 8 years. So it's very valuable. But send me that, leave them a review, send me screenshots, and you'll be on your way.
Dude, will you send me that. I'm going to leave myself a review and get that. That's freaking awesome, dude. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, Dustin, thank you so much. All right, if you enjoyed this episode, I want to show your support. Dustin already said it. Head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave a review, send a screenshot to Dustin. He'll get you that list. And then the best way to support the show is simply to share this episode with someone that you know. In honor of Dustin joining the podcast today, I was looking for the dad joke. I was trying to find something Fox related because I heard foxes sell faster. So, Ethan, if you could cue up the rim shot, please.
It's ready.
When do foxes hunt rabbits? When they're in the mood for fast food.
Oh, my gosh.
In the mood for
Anything's better than what does the fox say? When that song came out, it was over for my whole family.
All right, guys, if you want to get a hold of me or Luke, you can follow us at Stay Paid Podcast on Instagram. You can message us there. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Akery. What an incredible episode. Thank you guys both. That was great. Full of golden nuggets. You go back and listen to it. I would encourage everybody, I gave you the marketing and sales strategy of the week, which I think is great. Sit down, do that. But your real action item should be you need to go tap into this whole idea of advertising through video on YouTube. I just think that is freaking gold. Steven, I think you need to execute on that, man, right away. I was thinking about that as Dustin was talking about it. I knew this episode was going to be good, but this one will go down as one of the greatest. I know that. So thank you, Dustin, for sharing. So my action item for you guys is, one, get this man's book and execute on doing a video ad on YouTube, right? Because I believe that you can have a ton of results from that, mainly because the problem with marketing is everybody gets a hold of it and everybody runs to it, but making a video for YouTube, very few people will actually execute. So you still have time to be the first and to actually capitalize. Remember the difference between top producers, mediocre producers in every business. It's top producers take action. Take action on that today.